On Thai PBS World Tonight, deadly Mae Sai floods reveal huge holes in Thailand's disaster defenses. Pheu Thai party wins by-election in Phitsanuloke. And the popularity of Moo-Deng, the pygmy hippo in Khao Kieu Zoo. Good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Nat Bunag and we'll begin tonight with the aftermath of the flooding situation in Thailand's northern province of Chiang Rai, which has been heavily affected by the floods. And although the floodwaters have receded over the past weekend, the cleanup operations are still very difficult. And according to the Department of Public Disaster Prevention and Mitigation, more than 52,000 households in 9 districts of Chiang Rai were affected by the floodings last week. 10 people died and 2 were injured. And as we just said earlier, a huge cleanup operation took place in Mueang and Mae Sai districts as floodwaters receded. And these 2 districts were worst affected by the floods last week. However, the cleanup operation was actually a very difficult process. As you're seeing right here, you can see tons of officials trying to clean up the mess that occurred because of the flooding situation. And as you can see, household items such as mattresses and furniture can be seen being piled up in front of many of the houses awaiting collection by garbage collectors. And like we said, many of the communities are affected by the flooding situation. So let's take a look at one of the communities. That is Got Loi community in Mueang district. Many of the residents have complained that they are still unable to remove the mud from their houses due to a lack of tap water, while cleaning equipment is scarce and its prices are high. One of the residents told Thai PBS reporters that the recent flooding was a frightening experience as he and many others in the Got Loi community took refuge at a temple. Although he has managed to clean up his house, he still cannot move in because all of his belongings in the house have been severely damaged, and of course he has to buy replacements piece by piece. And he's not even sure whether there will be another round of flooding as an incoming storm has been reported recently. Meanwhile, Thailand has approached Myanmar for talks between water management agencies in tackling the common problem of flooding to prevent a repeat of a devastating flooding which struck the 2 countries last week. Foreign Minister Moo-Deng said today that Thailand wants to hold talks with Myanmar about the possibility of expanding water retention areas to absorb excess water from rivers with origins in Myanmar and which then flow through Thailand and Laos. For long-term measures, he said that Thailand will propose a meeting on water management among agencies of Mekong riparian countries such as China, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Thailand under the Mekong Lan Chang Cooperation Framework to prevent flooding in the future. So we can see that many countries, whether it's Thailand, Myanmar, and Laos, have been affected by the flooding situation. And all of this has been triggered by Typhoon Yagi, which has been considered the most powerful storm in Asia this year, and that has caused heavy rain and also flooding and mudslides. And it's not only Chiang Rai that has been affected. Many other provinces like Nong Khai has also been affected by the floods as well. And this flooding situation not only affects Thailand, but it also affects nearby countries. One example being Myanmar, where the floods and mudslides have claimed at least 113 lives already, and 320,000 people are forced to evacuate to shelters. And that's the situation on the surface. And talking about the flooding situation in Thailand's northern provinces, especially in Chiang Rai's Mae Sai district, the floods and landslides have affected more than 50,000 households. And the recent flooding situation has alarmed the public on the urgent need for disaster prevention and effective water management. And to explain the cause of the flooding situation for this particular year, the Chiang Rai Disaster Prevention and Mitigation Office reported that Tropical Storm Yagi triggered heavy rain across the north of Thailand, leading to severe flooding. And the tropical storm also caused severe damage in nearby countries such as Myanmar, Vietnam, and the Philippines. According to Associate Professor Chu Chok Ayupong of Chiang Mai University's Center of Excellence in Natural Disaster Management, the amount of rainfall was undeniably massive because of the tropical storm, but that was not the only factor. He actually pointed out three main problems behind the flooding in Mae Sai district, which are climate change, their exposure to disaster risks, and their vulnerability. He explained that many locals live in flood-prone areas and they have encroached on waterways, so they're exposed to flood risk. And there has been significant encroachment on both banks of the river running through Mae Sai district. Shops have been mushroomed on the banks as well, causing bottlenecks in the waterway. He also added that locals were also vulnerable because they lacked practical knowledge and the preparations needed to prevent flooding or reduce its impacts. And apart from the vulnerability of the people in Mae Sai district, the flooding in Chiang Rai also raised eyebrows regarding the disaster warning systems in Thailand. Seri Supratit, a climate expert, said that early warnings should have been sounded to allow locals in Mae Sai to evacuate safely instead of being marooned by floodwater for days. This water management expert said that while it may be difficult to prevent flooding in Mae Sai, but it was much easier to curb damage or flood impacts, and therefore he was really surprised at how unprepared Mae Sai authorities seemed to be for this particular situation. Meanwhile, Chu Chok noted that authorities often blame locals for ignoring warnings and advice to evacuate. Authorities should instead review why people were deciding not to listen to the warnings. And he even said that the authorities should prove that the forecasts are accurate and the warnings should be taken seriously. And that is how you actually convince the people in those communities. But here's also another problem that many of the experts have noticed. In Thailand, the responsibility for water management is divided between not only 3 or 4 agencies, but at least 38 different agencies, and those responsible for warning the public of the threats include 1, the Meteorological Department, 2, the National Disaster Warning Center, 3, the Department of Mineral Resources, 4, the Disaster Prevention and Mitigation Department, and 5, the Royal Irrigation Department. So this is already 5 agencies, 5 main agencies that deal with these situations. And Seri complained that these agencies tend to issue separate warnings, diluting the message to the public. For example, the Weather Bureau will warn the heavy downpours, the Department of Mineral Resources will warn of possible landslides, and the Royal Irrigation Department will issue warnings about water volume. So people will have no idea which one they should rely on because there are separate warnings. Meanwhile, Dr. Sitang Pilaila, who teaches water resource engineering at Kasetsart University and is a member of the government-appointed panel on solving persistent flooding and drought problems, pointed out that water management agencies cannot issue evacuation orders as this would go against the law. So therefore, they can only issue recommendations, and the only authority that can order evacuations is the Disaster Prevention and Mitigation Department. So you can see there's some contradicting issues regarding the flooding situation and when it comes to natural disasters. So to give you a summary of what are the common problems at the moment. So for Mae Sai district, what is the problem behind the flooding situation is, of course, the heavy rainfall, climate change, and how communities are vulnerable to flood risk. And on the other side of it is the warning systems, and there are too many agencies communicating on the warning. So people would have no idea which one they should listen or rely on. And one thing we also like to point out as well is the alert systems here. Currently, there's not even a centralized alert system. Like, for example, if you go to Japan, whenever there's a disaster such as a typhoon or mudslides or floodings or even earthquakes, you would get an SMS straight away, a text message from the authorities to warn the people in those areas to evacuate or at least be aware of the situation. But in Thailand, we don't seem to have a proper alert system yet. So what about Thailand in this situation? So this is what the government and related authorities need to work on as well. From the flooding situation, now let's turn to Thai politics. So the local elections took place in Phitsanuloke yesterday, and the significance of this by-election is to fill an MP seat that was left vacant by Patipat Santi Pada, who was stripped from his parliamentary status along with 10 other party executive committee members of the Move Forward party after the court ordered the dissolution of the party last month. So Move Forward's successor, the People's Party, has sent Natashanon Chanaburanasak, while Pheu Thai sent Jadet Chanta to compete in the by-election. And of course, the winner goes to the Pheu Thai party, which is actually the very first time in many years that the ruling party has won the by-elections in Phitsanuloke province. And Pheu Thai party candidate Jadet Chanta has won the by-election in constituency 1 of Phitsanuloke on Sunday. And that is the first election victory by the ruling party in the northern province for many years. Public Health Minister Somsak Thepsutin of the Pheu Thai party said in Phitsanuloke on Sunday night that Jadet's victory demonstrated that people in the province have accepted Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra. And he also said that this is not just a victory in Phitsanuloke, but people in the whole country are looking to the Prime Minister as their hope. Somsak told the media that the Pheu Thai party had not won an election in Phitsanuloke for about 2 decades already, and he thanked the people for voting for the party's candidate. Jadet also mentioned that the Prime Minister called him to express congratulations, adding that he will do his job to the best of his ability. Meanwhile, Natashanon of the People's Party conceded defeat and thanked the people in Phitsanuloke for giving him the votes. He also said that although he did not win the by-elections, he is still willing to serve people in the province. And the People's Party Secretary General said that the party will continue to strengthen its base and prepare for the next general election. So this is the second defeat for the People's Party ever since they have reincarnated from the Move Forward party. So it simply shows that the People's Party is not able to gain support from the local people yet. And it seems like the Pheu Thai party is gaining more popularity because of Prime Minister Paetongtarn, and it seems like Pheu Thai has managed to gain its stronghold back once again for Phitsanuloke as well. And now let's turn to lighter stories. When it comes to Thailand, people would also think of street food, and it can be found absolutely anywhere, from markets to shopping centers, and you can get them at any time. And not only that, you can even get groceries on the go. And in this special report, we take you on a tour with a mobile food vendor, which is called Rot Phum Phuang, and it's really common in local communities in Thailand. So let's find out more with Warisara Saehan.
Here in Bangkok's neighborhoods, I am with Rot Phum Phuang, mobile grocery vendor. This kind of vendor is more than just a common sight. It's a lifeline for many locals. These vendors operate from trucks, motorcycles, tuk-tuks, or even tricycles. They bring the market right to your doorstep.
ก็คือตลาดมาหาเราไม่ต้องตอนนี้น้ำมันมันก็แพงเนาะคือเขามาส่งถึงที่แล้วราคามันก็ใกล้เคียงกันบางอย่างถูกกว่าบางอย่างแพงกว่านิดหน่อยบวกลบ5 บาท 10 บาท
มันถูกกว่าไหมเพราะว่าตามตลาดมันจะยิงแพง
เราซื้อทำกินไว้ที่บ้านก็ประหยัดกว่าเยอะนะพี่ว่า
From packs of onions and stacks of greens to a basket full of Thai chilies, all are purchased from Talat Si Mum Mueang Market, the wholesale market for fruits and vegetables in Pathum Thani province. Because of this, Prani and her husband have to start their day earlier than most.
ที่ตื่นจากบ้านตั้งแต่ตี 3อ่ะคือเบ็ดเสร็จแล้วประมาณตี 4อ่ะพอได้ออกมาเนาะออกมาถึงตลาดประมาณตี 5ก็เริ่มซื้อของแล้วก็มาทำของตั้งแต่ช่วง6 โมงถึงประมาณ9 โมง หรือ8 โมงครึ่งถ้าของน้อยก็จะออก8 โมงครึ่งอย่างเงี้ย9 โมงแล้วก็เริ่มขายมา
Due to the distance, they have to drive more than 20 kilometers back and forth every day. After the cost of purchasing goods, gas expenses are likely the next biggest investment in their business.
ถ้าลงพริกหอมกระเทียมด้วยเป็นหมื่น
เป็นหมื่นเลยเหรอ
ใช่เพราะว่าพวกหอมกระเทียมมันแพงกันตอนเนี้ยแต่ถ้าไม่ลงหอมกระเทียมประมาณ 7,000 8,000 อยู่ประมาณเนี้ยแล้วก็น้ำมันตัวนั้นคือประมาณต้องหักจากกำไรตัวนี้ออกไปเบ็ดเสร็จแล้วคือประมาณ 1,500 1,600 แต่เราหักเหลือทุนจริงๆคือประมาณ 1,200 1,100 ประมาณเนี้ย
Rot Phum Phuang offers convenience and affordable prices directly to customers. But due to inflation, economic challenges, and changing customer behavior, Prani and her husband are facing difficulties.
เศรษฐกิจน่าจะแย่มากเลยอ่ะตอนนี้ครับจะไม่มีพูดง่ายๆไม่มีถ้าเดียวไปเดี๋ยวจะเห็นไม่จะไม่มีน้อยคนที่จะมาซื้อนะนอกจากเป็นร้านค้าหายไปแบบเงียบทุกคนคือรถทุกคนเหมือนกันหมดบ่นเหมือนกันหมดเหมือนเขาซื้อสำเร็จรูปดีกว่าทำของพวกนี้มันแพงไงเขาจะซื้อกินแบบสำเร็จรูปง่ายฝ่าเนาะอย่างเราทำแกงส้มอย่างโอ้โหหลายอย่างนะจะไปซื้อเขาถุงหนึ่ง40 บาทอ่ะเราทำไม่ได้40 บาทคือลูกค้าย่อยๆก็จะไม่ค่อยมีเท่าไหร่ส่วนมากจะเป็นร้านค้าส่ง
However, the Rot Phum Phuang operates on a strong business model, maintaining low prices for their goods.
พี่ขายไม่แพงเนาะบางคนเนี่ยของเขาแพงเขาขายขึ้นแพงแต่เวลามันแพงเนี่ยแพงขึ้นไงพี่จะไม่ได้บวกไงแต่บางคนเขาบวกไง
Prani and her husband have been running the business for about 20 years after she was laid off from a corporate job in 1998. What keeps their business going is their loyal regular customers.
ซื้อประจำครับเขามาเราก็ซื้อของขาดนิดๆหน่อยๆเราก็ซื้อบางทีเราซื้อไว้เพื่อที่จะทำวันพรุ่งนี้นะครับเราแช่เย็นไว้แม่ค้าในนี้เขาก็ซื้อหมดแหละนะครับเพราะว่ามันสะดวกราคาก็ไม่ต่างกันครับบางอย่างถูกกว่าตลาดเยอะครับ
Over the years, strong relationships have developed between them and their buyers.
มันเหมือนซื้อกันมานานแล้วเนาะ
ร้านพี่ปานีแหละสดถูกประจำแม่ค้าก็ซื้อทำก็ได้กำไรเยอะ
Prani said that although the current economic situation has not been the best for their business, she and her husband hope that the small business can continue to be a resource where people can find affordable goods. Warisala Sehan reporting for Thai PBS World.
And we got to say that Rot Phum Phuang has been part of the local communities in Thailand. And we got to say that it's quite unique. So if you do get a chance to see Rot Phum Phuang, don't forget to check them out as well. And if you've been scrolling through your social media feeds recently, then you might be wondering, why is everyone all about Moo-Deng, a pygmy hippo that caught the attention of social media users in Thailand and even made headlines in Time Magazine, BBC, and The Guardian. And you can see that many people are flocking to the zoo just to see Moo-Deng with their own eyes. And because of the popularity of Moo-Deng, many Thais flocked to Khao Kieu Open Zoo in Chonburi province during the past weekend, which has led to a traffic jam in front of the zoo. And some people even queued as early as 7 a.m. in the morning just to see the pygmy hippo with their own eyes. And due to large crowds, visitors were asked to receive tickets in order to meet the hippos so that the zoo is not overcrowded. And the zookeepers have also warned visitors not to throw anything at the hippos because there have been incidents recently that some people have threw bananas or ice at the hippos just to wake them up and get a decent photo of the hippo. So the zookeepers have warned visitors not to do that because it can hurt them as well. And alternatively, if driving to Khao Kieu Zoo is too much of a hassle, the zoo has posted live streams of the hippo on their official Facebook page for viewers to enjoy. So you can see how cute Moo-Deng is at the moment. So we can say that Moo-Deng has been a social media star at the moment, and many people have been talking about it, and people have been using their photos and created memes out of it. So it has created a lot of engagement, and surprisingly, it has caught the attention of many other countries such as China, Japan, South Korea, and now it has garnered the attention of people in other countries as well, and it even made headlines on Time magazine as well, so that's pretty interesting. But if you do get a chance to meet the hippo in person, don't forget to share your photos or videos with us as well. But if that is too much of a hassle, then you can watch the live stream on their official Facebook page. All right, and that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Join us every Monday and Tuesday on Thai PBS World's Facebook and YouTube Live. And don't forget to follow us on social media and our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest updates about Thailand as well as analyses. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ